One Piece chapter 1131, and I feel so dumb now. Like in the last chapter, I'm like, who's this Hadruden guy? Like, we get in this chapter, and Oda's like a little refresher. He's from Dressrosa. And then as soon as I see it, I go, oh. Yo, I fucking love One Piece, man. I fucking love One Piece. Holy shit, I forgot all about his ass. Like as soon as I saw that, I'm going, okay, like that makes sense. Cause like that's when Luffy ran into Leo and all the rest of them. It's like, Straw Hat Fleet was born. Like, I was like, okay, making sense. Like, oh man, Oda, Jesus Christ. So let me back up, man, because this chapter, I want to give Loki the benefit of the doubt. Nah, this motherfucker sus. Like, I take it all back now. He's sus. Like, holy. So we open up the chapter where Luffy, he's as loud as ever. He's like, oh yeah. And it's because he realizes he was actually in Elbaph the whole time. And he's like, we've been waiting to get here forever. And he's gone into a straight yap mode at this point. And Loki, he's showing some signs of intelligence. And the reason why I say that is he let Luffy talk for a bit. And some of it is because like Luffy, once he gets going, you can't really shut him up. But at the same time, he's been listening. And he got the wrong read on Luffy at first. Because initially, he was thinking that Luffy was like every other pirate. And he's like, basically, I am trapped here in Seastone chains. And it's one of those things like, fam, if you help me out, if you get me out of these chains, then I will eliminate a pirate crew for you. And that's something that any other pirate would have taken advantage of. Like, Luffy ain't hearing none of it. But even though that's something that catches Loki off guard, Luffy continues to talk. And even though he's annoyed that Luffy is speaking without having permission to be spoken to, he's also listening to what he's saying. And this is like a lesson for real life in that those are the types of people that you have to be careful about, because even when they're upset with you, they'll let you talk and hang yourself. They'll let you talk and hang yourself, especially when they realize that they don't have the leverage over you that they think that they do. Because they'll sit there and try to approach the same situation from a different angle because it suits their needs. And that's what happens here. And this is always the danger of somebody like Luffy going out on his own. It makes for really good storytelling, absolutely, because it gets Luffy into a mess. It creates conflict, but it also kind of shows that, like, had Luffy not had his crew, the specific members that he has, he wouldn't have made it this far. Because these are moments where members of his crew end up saving Luffy from himself. And so basically, as Loki is going through and he's talking and he's giving the backstory, he's been here for 6 years and he says, like, nobody chooses to be free. And I like how, emphasis is placed on the word choose and, just the added knowledge that he's speaking to Luffy, somebody who embodies a devil fruit that is basically freedom personified. It's like, okay, Luffy is definitely going to end up setting this guy free, but to what detriment? And so one of the things we end up seeing is that the first way that Loki tries to change the situation when he sees that he's not getting Luffy, and because he's blindfolded, he can't necessarily see that Luffy is kind of checked out, but at the same time, Luffy is watching him closely. And it's one of those things like, even though Luffy's a dummy, Luffy's also observant. And I think Luffy knows in this moment, he can't necessarily trust Loki, but Loki, without realizing it, ends up pressing the Luffy button. He's like, hey, I didn't mention it before, but the lowest plane at Elbaph, the Underworld, that's a place where no one dares to venture to. And the close-up on Luffy, you can tell now he's got Luffy's attention. Now he's got Luffy's attention, because if you tell Luffy, like, nobody's ever gone there, Luffy's like, oh, it's got to be a first time for anything. It reminds me of what happened with Punk Hazard, where they have an option between two different islands, and he's like, oh, that one's on fire? No, we got to go check that one out. So it's kind of one of those things where, without even realizing it, Loki is taking advantage of one of Luffy's weaknesses. And so what we end up seeing is that as he's given the extra information And he says, if you dig into the snow, you'll see the bones of giants around here. And there are all these animals at my beck and call. And like Luffy is like, man, that takes me back. Because now the wheels have been turned. Luffy has been getting worked up now. And that goes back to the childhood for him. That goes back to the training with Rayleigh. But basically, Loki, his way of trying to approach it was him trying to switch to intimidation because the sweet offer didn't work. So now he's trying to put in the intimidation without actually directly intimidating. He's like, if you don't do what I say, these animals might not take too kind to you. And then we see that there's also some humans that are there. And it isn't until he brings up Shanks that he's, in my opinion, fully got Luffy hooked in. Because at this point, he's done a good job of just layering on just enough to whet the appetite. And that's where we start seeing that as he talks about Shanks and the fact that he ran into him, Luffy is like, oh, did you just say Shanks? And once he calls him a coward, Luffy goes into Gear 4, he decks Loki right in the face. And he tells him, don't you talk about Shanks like that. But what I like here is that this lets him know, okay, now I have leverage. Because now he knows there's one button that he can press on Luffy to get him what he needs to do. Had he been able to see Luffy, because his eyes are bandaged, he would have known he already had him. But because he's been chained up for 6 years, I would kind of argue that he's kind of learned to develop the other senses. And Luffy's voice, inflection, everything, all that shifted once he talked about Shanks. And so I like how when Luffy starts asking for more information about Shanks, why did he come here? Is he still in Elbaph and etc.? That's where Loki starts smiling. He says, you're not going to get these answers for nothing. He's basically letting Luffy know without saying it, at least as of now. If you want to learn more about Shanks and why I know about him, etc., why I call him a coward, whether or not he's here, you got to do something for me. You got to get me out these chains. And the only way you can get me out of these chains is you got to go to that village and get the key for me. And so that's where we shift over and we get the rest of the Straw Hats and the bridge is shaking. And at first when Nami says the bridge is shaking, I'm going, well, there's definitely wind. So I'm like, I could kind of see it. But then my next thought before even going further down on the panel was like, that doesn't make sense because if the wind was blowing that hard where the bridge is shaking, all the Straw Hats would have been blown off because of how small they are and how big that bridge is for the bridge to be rocking, they would be blown off. It's like expecting 70-mile-per-hour winds to be going through and not expecting leaves to be blown through the air. That's kind of the analogy I'm making here. And so that's where Usopp takes out those binoculars. And he's like, is that who I think it is? And it's the sun god. And he's got his mask off. He's running. He's being chased. And that's where you see that Gerd and Goldberg, they're carrying the Thousand Sunny. They're chasing after him. And Sanji's like, everybody run like your life depends on it because it quite literally does. If they catch up to us, we are 100% goners right now. And then we shift over and that's where we get the reminder from Oda, like Harjuden was in Alabasta. He was caught up in Doflamingo's plot and basically he got rescued by the Straw Hats and he ended up joining the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. And what I like here is that, they've just gotten there. They've got one of the animals. They're heaving it off. Oda breaks down the new giant pirates in terms of their crew, their different roles. He kind of explains for us via the narrator that this is the pirate crew of 5 younger giants who came from the generation after Dorian Broggie, which it makes sense that like Gerd is as young as she is, like in appearance. Like it makes sense. They're the generation behind. That makes sense because Dorian Broggie, super old, giants age slow. So it's like that kind of makes sense there. And then I like how Oda, this hit me in the feels when I got to Nico Robin part. Like I've told people on the Patreon Discord server that like part of the thing with Nico Robin, the reason why she drives me crazy is she reminds me of my sister. And like I have a love-hate relationship with my sister. I love her to death. But then like there are times where She drives me crazy in a good way. So I like just like I like to poke fun at my sister, I poke fun at Nico Robin because she reminds me of my sister a lot. Like personality wise, like they're damn near clones. And so Nico Robin, she's gotten her hair done. And when I saw it, I'm like, that looks like the little kid version of her. And sure enough, it gets pointed out that's the look that you had when you first met Saul. And I'm like, man, Oda's about to hit us in the fucking feels here. And sure enough, we end the chapter off with a cliffhanger because it looks like something happened with Saul. He's fallen and he can't get up. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, there's a doctor on the island. Granted, that doctor is Gert. She's gone. Chopper's gone. But it's like, okay, now I want to see what happened to Saul. Now I want to see what's going on there. Because, like, I'm going to be so pissed off if Nico Robin doesn't get a chance to interact with Saul and Elbaph. Like, if Oda just has this motherfucker croak, I'm going to be so disappointed. Because you can't tease something like this. Like, if this was a Fujimoto manga, I would be 100% certain, like, oh yeah, Saul's dead. Oda don't kill the kill. So it's like, I don't think I need to jump the gun there, but I am worried about Saul. So my chapter question to you guys is, on a scale from 1 to 10, based on what you knew just off of these 2 chapters with Loki, how would you rate his intelligence? And on the opposite side, wherever you are now, what would you rate his intelligence now, knowing what you know now? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching until then. Have an awesome day, guys.